Okay, my name is Philip Marsh, if you don't know me. I'm the founder and CEO of Knowledge Mentoring Global. It's a business that my wife and I set up in 2019, and then the great dreaded got in the way, so we had to relocate in the middle of a global pandemic and all those sort of kind of stories. But before I get on to all of me and what we're doing, there's some really important people that I have to recognize for making the effort over here. So the first is, let's just call it the South African delegation. We have Dr. Francisca Botma, who represents the Engineering Council of South Africa. It's as big as you get. We have Dr. Nompulelo Oboko from SACNASP, the natural scientists, just showing the beautiful blend of different disciplines that we are actually liberating here. So what I'm so excited, we've got the architects here, we've got engineers here, we've got the natural scientists here, we've got the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, really multidisciplinary stuff. So well, I'd like to also say welcome to the live stream audience. And Stuart, I'm just not sure if the live stream audience are they watching this? Okay, so all around the world, wherever you are, and mainly in South Africa, we have some really important people that are watching this as well. We have multiple CEOs, multiple presidents of institutions, of organizations that are watching this in a variety of countries. And before I hand over really to Sharon, just to sort of open the event and put an executive touch to it, I want to open with a saying that I just think is so powerful. And really the saying is that it's the coming together that sets us apart. And that's really what this is all about. In my 40 years, 4 decades of being in the engineering construction space, I was head of structural engineering on Canary Wharf 140 years ago. I mean, it's just so scary. I've built power stations, I've built rugby stadiums, I've done all sorts of big things in engineering. In all that time, I have never come across an event that gathered cross-discipline, cross-country collaboration for an event that actually will impact 60 million lives in South Africa. So this is a substantial, what you are doing right now is you're beginning to make history. You won't realize the significance of that until you see the press and what happens over the years. And we're going to feed back to everybody because we've got your emails. We know where you live. And we're gonna give you feedback on the success that you're helping to create over here. So that's really important. And so before we get on to our professional body speakers, I'd just like to invite Sharon Constantian to come up over here and just give us a little bit of an executive flavor from the South African Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Sharon.
So as chairman of the chamber, what do? We try and be relevant to you guys as members. We try to increase our membership, and we work to deliver business services to companies going in and out of South Africa, trade, investment. And how can we support all of those things? We're a very small organization. We punch way above our weight. We are here because of you, because of our members, because of what we do for our members. And it's lovely to see people I have known for, I'm not going to say how many decades because I'm going to give my age away, but there are people here that I've known since I was literally almost a teenager. So there are people that we bring along in our lives and share those experiences. And it's wonderful for us as South Africans, because many of us travel to South Africa still quite often. And we did an event in February in South Africa where we were promoting business ethics and how can each one of us do something, even that small, but that small to stop corruption is that small added together. All of us can do something about some of the issues that are happening in South Africa. We can make a difference. And the next event in that series will probably be here in the UK. We're busy working on that at the moment. But the most important is we can't turn around and ignore some of the things that we can make a difference. We all know in our boardrooms today, we have to do the right thing. We have to look at the modern agenda. We have to consider what people expect of business. So we can also see what we can each individually do. And one person walked up to me last month and said, I wish my boss were here, because then I think they would get to understand that we can make a difference. So it's there for all of us to do what we can for South Africa, for South Africans. Our purpose as a chamber is to uplift the lives of South Africans. And while we can do that, we're in business. And thanks to you, we can make that kind of thing possible. Now, you're not here to listen to me, so I'm going to shut up. I might say good night, but somebody else might do that. I can't remember what the agenda is, but please enjoy your evening. We've got some wonderful content that is very specific to your expertise and knowledge. And the part that really excites me is we need to get some really high quality educated people into some of the infrastructure environments in South Africa that are really, really struggling. And yes, we can't solve today's problem educating from here, but if we don't start, we're not going to get there. So it's really critical that we get behind these kind of movements so that we can make a difference, whether it's tomorrow or whether it's next year or in 5 years' time. We cannot just not do it. So it really is critical. So I ask all of you to come along the journey of doing something really important for our country. And we might be here, but they are there and we need to help them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sharon. Always motivating to listen to you. Sharon puts on amazing events for South Africa. I'm going to very quickly hand over to two very important people. The first I'm going to call up is Dr. Francisca Botma. Dr. Francisca Botma, or Fran, has become my friend. She's become an ally in the industry. She's the regulatory head of the Engineering Council of South Africa. If you know anything about this industry, that's as big as you get in South Africa. She has international credibility with the International Engineering Accord and things like that. So this is as good as you get from the South African engineering sector. And Fran, I recognize your colleagues in South Africa, Bridget and Rafielware and all of the other colleagues who are right behind you on this important initiative. So would you like to come up and chat to us for a few minutes? Thank you.
So much, Phil. I want to make it very clear that it's not me, it's EXA. So I'm definitely not at the head of EXA. We've got a brilliant CEO, Dr. Bridget Samula, and we've got a brilliant president and a council that I actually also work for. But yes, the Engineering Council is currently the biggest council in the built environment. So when Phil came to me, or with the Whitby initiative initially, and I'm hoping, Phil, that the Whitby initiative is also going to be mentioned here, we got behind that because that's about women in the built environment. And the Maselulekane initiative flowed from that Whitby initiative with extra support from it. So all of that you're going to hear about tonight, and that's not why I'm here. I'm kind of here to drum up support for Maselulekane. And from an engineering perspective, and that while knowing that this is a need across the council, across the built environment council. So it's not only for engineering. So I want to take you through. Phil actually said, Francisca, start with a little joke about Potchefstroom. I'm not going to do that, Phil. I thought about, I don't know whom of you come from South Africa. No, Karen Zoid. She's got a specific song where she mentions Potchefstroom. I see the hands go up. I'm not going to make that joke because the bottom line is in London, you get it too. So just noting that. So I'm going to stick with the facts, colleagues, and listen a bit to the statistics, and you will see how big the problem that Maselulekane can help to address really is in South Africa. So 145,000. That's the first number I want to put in front of you. So that's the estimated demand in number of professional engineers. I'm now not even talking the architects, the quantity surveyors, all the other built environment professions. That's the estimated number of professional engineers that South Africa needs according to the 2022 Labour Market Intelligence Research Report. So the report, colleagues, is a fantastic but quite an alarming read. And one of the things that makes it so alarming is the structural skills mismatch between labor demand and labor supply. While higher education institutions are doing a lot of work to supply engineering graduates to the market, there has been a steadily rise in unemployment for engineers specifically over the past 4 years at an annual rate of 8.5%. It's truly something to grapple with, and something is amiss, and that much is very evident. The second number I want to put before you is 52,200. Give or take a couple of hundred, that is the number of registered persons currently in the EXA database. Keep in mind the demand noted previously and the fact that registration is not yet currently compulsory in South Africa. So the identification of engineering work, it was gazetted in March 21. We're going to start enforcing professional registration in April of 2025. And now, again, think about the 145,000 that are noted in the beginning and the fact that we're currently sitting with 52,200 registered persons in that database. So the next number that you need to understand is the number 14,000. So of the 52,200, give or take a couple of hundred, 14,000 of these persons are above the age of 60. So either already retired or on their way to retirement. We're trying to keep them on, like Tom and Phil behind me, all the gray hairs. We want to keep them on because the worry is, colleagues, that with the retired persons, the brain drain in that sector is going to be astronomical. So think about it, 14,000, but also think about the fact that these are 14,000 persons, registered professionals that we can harness in the correct manner if we actually look at mentoring that Phil and the team are going to talk about in terms of Maselulekane. Another number, 18,000. We're still with the 52,200. 18,000, the next one you need to think about. Give or take couple of hundred. This is the numbers of persons in the database currently that are only candidates. So I think in UK they call them associates. I'm not certain, but it means they're not yet professionally registered. And EXA requires a minimum of 3 years that they have to be mentored, supported, supervised, go through a very structured candidacy journey to get to the place of full compliance, to demonstrate competence, to register as professionals. Now, most of these candidates are Africans, and most of them are still male. We're also working towards the transformation of that environment for our females coming through the system. The next number is 11,000. So of these 18,000 candidates in the system, 11,000 of them have been in the system for longer than 4 years. So they've gone past the 3 years minimum requirement. They're still not professionally registered. 11,000 of the 18,000. So now you're starting to see the EXA database in context and still looking at the bigger picture in terms of the 145,000 I noted in the beginning. So EXA has done some research on candidates who struggle to convert from candidacy to professional status. And this is what we found, 6 main issues that came to the fore. The first one, and I'm smiling on this one because even tonight I've had conversations in this regard, a complicated and difficult EXA registration process. So while EXA is definitely not looking to reduce the quality or necessarily the complexity of the requirements for professional registration, EXA is definitely currently investigating demystifying the process of registration. It is an urgent work in progress, and we need our voluntary associations. We've got 55 of them in South Africa. We need them on board to make sure that the registration process becomes not an easy process, but a process that everyone understands, a process that is transparent, that is unbiased, and that will bring people through for professional registration in order to build our skills pipeline. So that was the first thing that came through. Contributors 2 and 3 go hand in hand, and they speak to lack of funding. Now, this is a huge thing in South Africa, really exceptional a really big issue. So two matters that need funding. The first one is for registration and annual fees. So candidates say, I don't have the funds to register. So EXA has started the process of working with our SETAs, our sector education training authorities. The South Africans here today would know that we've had some success with our energy and water SETA in the past week. They've come on board, and they are going to fund 1,000 candidates for annual fees, candidates that are struggling in that sector coming through. We want those kind of initiatives and collaborations with our SETAs to get them on board, but not only for annual registration or for annual fees. The second one is funding for access to candidacy programs. So in South Africa, you can pay anything between, if you go onto a structured program that is worth its while, and then you're not guaranteed success, but you can pay anything from 5,000 to 8,000 Rand a month to get onto such a program. And I don't want to talk numbers tonight, but our candidates don't have access to that kind of funding. And employers don't necessarily have access, or they don't have sufficient numbers of mentors. And that's the other thing that we're going to talk about to ensure that their candidates can go through that kind of a structured program. Then the fourth concern, a lack of job opportunities. Colleagues, this is rampant in South Africa. In that report that I spoke of in the beginning, I mean, the fact that we're struggling with unemployment is it's no new thing. Everybody knows that. But the bottom line is, while the market intelligence report, it is true, there is this large scale mismatch in terms of demand and supply, but the engineers are feeling it, and our infrastructure definitely feeling it as well. So then when it comes to the fifth and the sixth concern, and I put these last because they go hand in hand, and this is where Maselulekane is coming in to make a huge difference in the market for us. So candidates noted that they've got a lack of access to structured candidacy programs within, but also outside of their places of work. So whether you've got a job or you don't have a job, there's no access, or not no access, but there's very little access to structured candidacy training programs. The second one is the fact that even if you've got a job and they are trying to upskill you according to the correct competencies in your specific sector, they don't have access to sufficient numbers of mentors who understand the EXA criteria for becoming a registered person. So these two go hand in hand. And they are, all six of these challenges, colleagues, are much talked about in South African context, and yet we're just not making headway. We're still sitting with numbers, and you heard the numbers in terms of what's not happening. So what can Maselulekane not do? It cannot provide for us job opportunities that we need from the market. And there is a much bigger conversation that needs to take place in that regard. It can also not provide for us funding for our candidates. There we have to look to our SETAs, government and private employers. We need to look at sponsors for our candidates to come on board to make sure that there is funding. Maselulekane, what can it offer? A structured, high quality candidacy training, mentoring, and support program. It has a highly scalable technology enablement behind it that is exceptional. I've seen it. It's truly something to behold. It also provides access to mentors across the globe, not only the 14,000 on their way to retirement or already retired in South Africa, but bringing in the diaspora of SA engineers sitting in other countries like the UK to bring them on board to mentor our candidates and to ensure that they actually attain the competencies that they need to get registered. Maselulekane is going to harness that kind of potential and bring it into the program. And then lastly, every SETA, every public and private employer of candidates, every municipality, every sponsor who is willing and able to fund 10, 100, 1,000 candidates for the candidacy journey will have access to real-time tracking of the people that they're sponsoring, transparency of the highest and the best possible quality that you can get on a monthly basis at your fingertips. You will know exactly where your money goes, where the gaps are, who the high potentials are in the program that you are sponsoring, and why others are struggling, and what we can do to ensure that they get to the place where they can actually register. Ultimately, colleagues, we are all driving towards the same goal. We know that we are building partnerships to give South Africa and South Africans a fighting chance at a sustainable future. Maselulekane says, let's advise one another. Let's make a real difference. And we can only do that together. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Francisca. That was inspirational. Nompumelelo, I'd like to invite you to come up and say a few words.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nompumelelo Oboko. I'm here representing SACNASP, and we really appreciate this opportunity this evening. And really on behalf of the chairperson of the South African Council for the Natural Scientific Profession, that is SACNASP, we really thank the organizers for the invitation extended to SACNASP to participate, and also for the opportunity really to engage on this very important initiative. So we are looking forward to see how then we can harness and utilize it in our programs. So who is SACNASP? SACNASP was established in 2003 as a report to the Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation in South Africa. We register and we regulate the natural scientific professionals. So we currently have 26 fields of practice, right from agriculture, chemistry. I think some of you will understand, from the natural scientist, all the various fields up until zoology. So it's quite a big field. And I think, as it was alluded to earlier, we also facing quite a number of challenges in the country and growing the sector to start with, understanding some of the historical challenges. So we are trying to transform and ensure that the young people, they can participate and also contribute to the national development. So we have quite a number of programs that we have launched over the years, and we continue to ensure that as we register and regulate, we also provide lifelong learning opportunities for the natural scientists. As they come in, as they've graduated, they enter in as candidate natural scientists, then they become certificated, and of course, eventually, they're professional registered scientists. So we have the candidate mentorship program, which we have been running for some time. And we're quite excited when we got an invite and also looking at what this particular program, the Maselulekane, is offering. So we are very much happy that we can also utilize this platform to show a greater impact and also to close that gap, because the need on the ground is huge. And we want to use robust, innovative platforms such as this one to make an impact in the country. So I think, just in short, we are very much excited to have been invited to participate and also to see how we can utilize this platform. And through the mentorship program, currently we're rolling it out with 48 voluntary associations across the 26 fields of practice. So it has not been standardized or streamlined. So we believe that by utilizing this as a vehicle, then that will then make a big difference to our natural scientists. So thank you once more for the invite, and we're looking forward to see how then we can leverage and also engage and contribute to the development of the country, because these are the next cohort of our scientists who will then take the country forward. So thank you. That is what we wanted to share as part of SACNASP. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Oboko. Thank you. What you've heard there is you've heard two very different. You've heard the engineers, you've heard the natural scientists. Just now you're going to hear a video from the construction and project management people. You're going to hear our champions and things like that. But what I wanted to just quickly, as fast as I can, give you an understanding of the impact of what we're actually talking about here. The the stark reality is that the problem that Shelley and I set out to solve several years ago, it comes from our 4 decades. Shelley's a structural engineering technician from many years ago as well. And we set out to solve a problem that is, it coined in the phrase is, it's almost like an unsolvable because it's so complex, and that is so exciting for an engineer to attack something like that and go about it. And we kind of came up with this little concept, is that we're not going to die with our best song still in us. So Maselulekane is the culmination of the thinking. And let me just give you some impact analytics over here. The stark reality is that in South Africa, the value of the knowledge and wisdom that is lost every single year through retirement, retrenchment, immigration, that the value of that knowledge lost to our entire economy is much greater than the volume of all the data and information that's shared, all the stuff that goes out there. And we think that giving courses and content and curriculum to our young graduates is the answer, and it is not doing the job. So in this space, what I call the complex cauldron of the construction environment in Southern Africa, it's much worse than anywhere else in the world, because you have the political differences, you have 11 languages, you have vast educational background differences, disparities, very, very strong political polarization and things like that. The understanding cause and effect at a young age is absolutely critical. The courses, curriculum, universities cannot do this, the internet cannot do it, online learning cannot do it. This is a space where context is king, understanding it at a human level around the cause and effect of something. And I want to give you some examples of the misunderstanding, the impact of the misunderstanding of cause and effect. There just some instances over here that are real numbers. In the world today, across the built environment, there's an organization in the UK called HKA. They produce something called the Crux Report. Many of you may know it. It identifies that across the world, last year, $380 billion was wasted through human error. So those are 10 predictable, repetitive, causal effects of where young people make a decision. They're not overseen. There's no oversight. There's no mentorship, but they make an issue that ends up in a claim, a dispute, extension of time. That's a lot of money. In the UK, that costs us £9 billion a year in human error in the engineering construction space. Now, the tragedy is that's an unconsidered need. No one talks about it. The CITB don't talk about it. The CLC don't talk about it. No one actually talks about it, the institutions, because it's just built into the cost. That's the cost of growing a graduate or growing an apprentice. It's not identified, and it's actually huge, and a lot of it can be avoided. The next one is that in Africa, the ability to achieve our ESG targets. So for those of you who don't know ESG, environmental, social, and governance, it's the new rapidly advancing. In the UK environment alone, 60 billion pounds is the sort of the impact investment space, meant to be growing to 100 billion pounds. It's a big, important space. And in Africa as a continent, but certainly sub-Saharan Africa, the ability to meet ESG targets is non-existent. No way we can do it. Because while we have all of these political, posturings about we're going to go to net zero and we're going to do avoidable, we've got zero electricity in South Africa. The challenge is that we build everything twice, so we break it. And so the cost of error in South Africa is 9% of every single project will end up in a dispute, a claim, or an extension of time. There are 10 reasons that cause that. We can get away with those. We can do away with those. So that's a huge problem. Another unconsidered need is that it's not talked about, but in all the work that we've been doing, we've been in the space for a long time. You can see these lines. For the first 3 years of a young engineering graduate or young architectural graduate or young quantity surveying graduate, the company can add about 25 to 30% cost to company of that graduate on top of that graduate's salary, because that's the cost it takes for an experienced person to fix up all the mess ups that they've made, or repair the damage, or go and do the client conversation kind of relationships and things. So those are validated facts. It's huge. We can reduce that number of the cost of getting experience transferred quickly. And the last point I want to mention is no one really talks about the cost of delayed registration of young chartered engineers, chartered surveyors, chartered Royal Institute of Building Architects and things like that in South Africa, PRN. PQS. For every year that you delay the registration, that's billable. That costs an industry the inability to charge that individual out as a young built environment professional. So you charge them out as a graduate at about 2.5 times less than the billable potential. In the UK, that probably costs us between £2 and £3 billion a year in the lost billable potential of apprentices. 45% success rate with apprentices in the UK in the engineering construction space. It's really a crime. And you look at all the chartered engineers, 1 year will cost us about between £2 and £3 billion a year in lost billable potential to the industry. So they're big numbers, and it's all about access to experience. It's not about access to courses and curriculum. And as we all know, experience is that amazing thing that you get about 15 seconds after you first really needed it. And we can change that. We can bring experience forward because we can connect you with the mentors, and we can connect you so that you don't have to go through that 10, 20, 70 Jennings sort of principles of, academic learning, vicarious learning, and learning by episodic episodes and burning your fingers. And that takes 15 years to become a good professional. We can accelerate that. We can bring that down to 2 years to be a rock hard, solid youngster. Even before you register, we can, and Shelley and I have been doing this for 25 years. We know what we're doing. We can really do this. Our technology just takes it to a different level of scalability. That's the big potential there. So I'm just quickly going through my notes over here. Just very quickly, you will hear us talk about through the evening the concept of knowledge swarms and experiential hives. I'm conscious of our time and everyone's thirsty and we need to eat. I didn't realize it, but I was in a bit of a sort of a mechanical ambush. It's an old Angolan war story kind of thing. My wife wanted to go to the Taj Mahal, so she got me invited as a keynote speaker at the World Education Congress in Mumbai. And so we went across there, and I delivered a paper called Knowledge Swarms and Experiential Hives. And the concept paper was, how do, in developing societies, do old buggers like me transfer all of their knowledge and their wisdom, their relationships, their contacts, all of the experiential stuff you cannot get from university or Google? And how do you transfer it to the young, hungry generation? And so Knowledge Swarms and Experiential Hive was born, and it became a book, and it became a whole lot of other things. But essentially, what we're doing with Maselulekane is we're going to manage very large groups of candidates that Dr. Boku was talking about and Dr. Botman was talking about, is we're going to manage them. And so our analogy is nooks. A small swarm of 10 bees is a nook. A big swarm is a swarm. A very big swarm is a hive. A very, very big set of hives is an apiary. That's our language, okay? So it goes from managing 10 graduates to 100 graduates to 1,000 graduates to 10,000 graduates. So our vision is to get to 100,000 graduates in sub-Saharan Africa. And we know, talking to all the different councils, that's just the tip of the iceberg of young graduates who've gone through the education system and have never registered. So there's a big market. And Shelley and I last week were at a conference with the Global Entrepreneur Program, and we met someone from Thailand. And we were telling her about knowledge swarms and experiential hives. And she said, as soon as you got Africa going, please come to Thailand. We have a desperate need. APAC region needs it. So the scalability of this concept and this model is really huge. And we've built the technology, we've invested the kids' inheritance, we've got it going to where it's going. And we're in the space right now. This is not a product pitch over here, but we're ready to start running and doing massive things at scale, but doing good things as well. So this is like a social enterprise thing. This is not a vulture capitalist sort of kind of enterprise. You can get involved in Maselulekane, you can invest in Maselulekane, you'll get a return from Maselulekane, but you'll do great good at huge scale that you can't do at any other level. If we get Maselulekane right, we will change the lives of 20 or 30,000 graduates in the short term, but we will materially change the lives of 60 million South Africans, because they won't have poo in the water, they won't have potholes in the roads, they'll have electricity, they'll be able to go to school and they'll be able to study, and they'll be able to carry on with normal lives. This program can enable that, and you can get involved in that. You can talk to people that can help us, and we build this whole swarm and sort of effect. So before I carry on too much longer, I'm going to shut myself up immediately. I want to introduce you to my soulmate, my co-founder. I hope she's still alive. Shelley Marsh.
I created the WIN series about a year ago. I had this concept with our platform that we developed, that I'd like to support women in whatever field, not just engineering, construction, women in law, women in insurance, women in banking, whatever they had, where women were represented or underrepresented, is to help them through our platform and our methodology. So the first one is WITBE, which we Women in the Built Environment, which is a fond acronym. And that's been very successful. So I have a very great success story in amongst all the war stories that Phil has given you. It came out of sort of the beginning of my career as a young engineer. And my recent work over the last 9 years in South Africa, which was, I was privy to a lot of the work that organizations and sectors were doing for women in the built environment and across banking and insurance, because I was judge on the Gender Mainstreaming Awards for the 30% Club. The 30% Club is a global movement and campaign with chairs and CEOs driving diversity onto boards and executive level. So I heard all the stories, the good, the bad, the indifferent. And the same thing I saw over and over again that was missing in these programs was context and social learning, learning from others and having context. We're overwhelmed with content. All the women programs, they had training, they had programs, they were sent on to courses and webinars, but they had to come back and integrate that into their workplace, and that is tough. So what we offer is that opportunity to integrate, to say, how do I translate this back into the workplace? And that's done on our platform. That's done with our methodology that we've got. And that's over to the videos. Now we'd like Stuart to share the words from people that you can hear from directly who are supporting us and the recipients themselves. So thank you very much.
Good evening and greetings to you all at this official launch of the Maselulekane Candidacy Mentoring and Support Program. My name is Rufuno Ratsiku. I am the president of the South African Council for the Project and Construction Management Professions. And it is indeed my pleasure to invest a few words into an initiative that in itself is investing in our future. The mission and vision of the Maselulekane program features touch points that are very close to the Council's strategic roadmap as it journeys towards protection of the public through the registration of competent construction professionals. The program's mission is to increase the number of confident, competent, and capable candidates who can register as young built environment professionals in the shortest and most cost-effective journey possible. The words competent and capable are energizing the heartbeat of the SACP-CNP as we drive towards ensuring that built environment offers professionals who know how to keep us, our families, our schools, our buildings, our roads, our bridges safe through competency and professionalism. Similarly, the Maselulekane program's vision to utilize technology in the candidacy journey reads off the same hymn sheet utilized by the SACP-CNP. How so? The Council recently introduced 3 new competency categories into professional competency standards that will be taken into professional assessments of applicants. One of these is digitization, and it encourages an understanding of digital technologies and practices within the construction environment to ensure that professionals are not left behind in the era of technology. Thus, I feel this program's use of technology to enhance candidacy and mentorship is most definitely the right direction, especially given the tech savviness of today's youth. Overall, we see that the Maselulekane program is a professional managed and technology-enabled support program for graduates and candidates across the Southern African and Sub-Saharan engineering and construction sectors. As the council responsible for regulating professionals in the construction arena in South Africa, we have a passion for candidacy development and growth through mentorship. These are non-negotiable factors in the professional application process as they support and guide industry newbies with much needed skill and experience from those who have walked the construction field many times over. The Council itself has embarked on a vibrant mentorship collaboration that facilitates networking opportunities in a semi-informal environment between mentors and mentees to open a platform in gaining exclusive insights into the construction industry. This offers exposure to students of different industry perspectives from a variety of mentors from different backgrounds. We look forward to seeing how our initiatives and those offered by this program can work in collaboration and harmony towards boosting candidacy and the journey towards professionalism. And the SACPCMP looks forward to investigating ways in which we can work together to ensure that construction professionals are competent, capable, and protectors of the public first and foremost through ethical, safe, and competent practices. To the founding partners of this initiative, the South African Institute of Civil Engineering, Mentoring for Success, and tech provider, Knowledge Mentoring Global, allow me to congratulate you on this launch. Know that we, as a council and regulatory authority, will be watching, celebrating, and hopefully contributing where we can to the success that this program is sure to attain. I wish you all a wonderful launch and a good and safe evening. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to share a few words on this great initiative, the Maselulekane program. The choice of words used to describe this program at this time is ambitious. You have fused business, engineering, engineers, and yourselves to make something really special that will allow us to grow in various spaces. There's a special blend of sustainability concepts, especially when you focus on SDG number 4 and number 5. And I see the value of these goals in this initiative. It is special because these goals depend on where you start and where you'd like to end. South Africa is facing a severe skills shortage and, to exacerbate matters, a skills imbalance. Public sector and private sector at this stage do not see eye to eye for various reasons, and skills is one of them. There are huge opportunities for us to upskill ourselves and link better in order to work together to build a nation, which is what drives this program in purpose. I see that this initiative will eventually progress to achieve other sustainable goals, namely SDG number 9, which really talks about innovation, industrialization, and the provision of infrastructure very effectively. And the ultimate goal of all the SDGs is SDG number 11, which is allowing us to live sustainably in the environment that we are growing up in. So that relates to sustainable communities, which I think all SDGs eventually point to. And I see this program being a fundamental pillar to allowing us to achieve that on the back of mentoring, on the back of sharing knowledge and empowering one another to see this world as a collective, to come together and understand why it is that we need to be skilled, share knowledge, and allow ourselves, most importantly, to grow as a collective in a direction that we all agree is sustainable. This is the only program that I am aware of at this time that has the highest level of strategy, starting with sustainable development goals and coming to the level of granularity of basic tasks and activities in how to actually enable this goal. If all entities worked along strategic lines such as this, we would have a lot more organized approaches to the development of this country. I see how the would-be program and the activities therein will contribute meaningfully to SDG number 5, which relates to gender inequality, a phenomenon that has plagued our industry since the start of time. I look forward to seeing these initiatives create the impact that it is very much intended to do so, and I look forward to participating in some of the activities going forward. I thank you.
Good day. My name is Inosentia Mahlangu from South Africa. I am the South African Institution of Civil Engineering's Diversity and Inclusion Committee Chair. I'm also the African Ambassador for the Women in the Built Environment, or the Would-Be initiative. I'm part of this initiative because it's centered around advancing women in male-dominated industries such as engineering, project management, and the built environment. This initiative is important in that it allows women a space to network with each other and support each other in their career growth trajectories. I'm excited to be part of this initiative due to the impact it will have in improving diversity and inclusion in our industries. Today, I'm joining many others around the world to celebrate the launch of the Maselulekane program, which is a game changer that will see the upskilling of many young professionals in our industries, including women. I'm excited to be part of both initiatives and equally excited for SAIC to be part of this initiative. Together, our collaboration will have greater impact, and I look forward to this growing from this point forward.
Hi everyone, I'm Takarani Nishipale, also known as TK, and I am the Africa Ambassador for Maselulekane Candidacy Mentoring and Support Program. I'm currently working as a civil engineer, and I'm also a candidate engineer with the Engineering Council of South Africa. Now, my role as an ambassador for Maselulekane is to encourage all the candidates like me to aspire to become professional engineers or technologists or even technicians. Maselulekane, which means let's advise each other, is there to assist you, to train you and support you to become that professional. I've seen in different spheres of engineering in South Africa, be it construction, consulting, project management, that some of our employers are not well equipped and well trained to actually train us to become professionals, that it ends up taking 10 years, 15 years for us to become professionals. Now, I stand before you as an African lady because I would like to compete globally in the engineering sphere as a professional. And I understand that that's the first step in achieving my goals. I'm more interested in the fourth industrial revolution and how we can enhance it and grow with it, not just as an individual, but as an engineer from Africa. I encourage you to register with Maselulekane and learn more about it because we've got different programs, be it a 12-month, 36 months, or even 5-year program. And it's all there to assist you to become a professional. I'm passionate about it, and I definitely aspire to be a professional with Maselulekane. Do try it for yourself. Thank you.
All the talk's nearly done. I'm just going to end on a really, really high note. I'd like to introduce the country head for an organization that I just think just tops off the importance of this whole thing. So I'd like to ask Pumela Salela to come up from, she's the country head of Brand South Africa.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to start by acknowledging the chairman of the South African Chamber of Commerce here in the UK, Sharon Constantian, for creating such platforms for us to be able to meet for a good cause. So the Maselulekane Candidacy Mentoring and Support Program resonates with me at 2 levels. The first level is nation building, and the second level is youth and education. And I'll tell you why. Firstly, I am in the business of nation branding. And they are also saying they are doing this for nation branding. So that's the first resonation with me as the country head for Brand South Africa. And as Brand South Africa, we encourage active citizenry. We encourage global South Africans, wherever they are in the world, to one, play their part. And we encourage global South Africans to use their skills, to use their knowledge, to use their expertise to build our country, our beloved country, South Africa. Hands up if you love South Africa, like I do. Okay. And I myself am doing this job because it's more out of a purpose. It's a purpose more than it is a job. And a purpose that says that we can't all sit at the periphery and look from the side and say our country is going down. Because each of us has the ability to play a meaningful role to make our country better. Don't you agree? We can, wherever we are, whoever we are. It's our country after all. And I'm doing this job because I said I want to be at the center and not on the sidelines, not on the periphery, as it were, in terms of building our country. And if we all, even as we're gathered here today, if we could all play a central role in building our country, the center would definitely hold. I mentioned that Maselulekane initiative resonates with me at 2 levels. I've mentioned the nation building one. The second level that this initiative resonates with me at is because I am very passionate about the youth and education. I believe that young people need a chance. I believe that young people need an opportunity. I believe that young people need an open door. And therefore, I commend Philip Marsh and I commend Shirley Marsh for taking their time to drive this. Thank you to both of you. I call you the duo, you know that. Thank you to both of you for investing your time and for investing your resources in order to make an impact in society. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm certain that you will agree with me in joining and join me in thanking the organizations who are supporting this vision. And they've supported this vision as the initial founders. They've supported this vision as the visionaries. This is the South African Institute of Civil Engineering, Mentoring for Success, and they've all partnered with the international technology provider, Knowledge Mentoring Global, to make Maselulekane happen. Now, every vision needs a vision runner. The founders are not leaving this opportunity to make an impact to themselves. So the duo and the founding organizations are not that selfish. They are opening the door for you to also make the impact. So by this launch, the door is being opened. So the door is not closed for you to participate beyond today. They are welcoming professional bodies. They are welcoming anyone who's aligned to the built environment or the greater engineering and the construction sectors. And they are asking you to run with the vision because, as I said, every vision needs a vision runner. They are welcoming individuals and they are welcoming corporates. They are asking you to come on board and bring this vision to life. They are giving you a chance to give a young person a chance, an opportunity. Now, Maselulekane is a Zulu word that means, let us guide each other. And this word reminds me of a Zulu proverb that says, izandla ziyagezana. And loosely translated, izandla ziyagezana means hands wash each other. But the loose translation does not really do justice to the essence and the meaning of izandla ziyagezana. Because The richness of this Zulu proverb, izandla ziyagezana, comes from its figurative meaning, and that is togetherness, that is ubuntu, that is helping each other, that is guiding each other, that is providing for each other. Maselulekane, let us guide each other. Izandla ziyagezana, let us help each other. Because in essence, we are stronger together.
Thank you, Pramila. The reality over here is we know we have to do something. And the beauty of it is that in this room and in our networks and in the relationships in our teams, in the institutions, we've actually got the know-how how to do this. We've now developed a technology. This is not just a platform. This is developed from the cauldron of the trench warfare of the South African engineering construction space. It solves the problem. It's done. We've proven it. It's out there. It's working. It's won awards already. We can scale it. What's amazing is we had the meeting with the Institution of Civil Engineers yesterday. I've had a meeting with the Institution of Structural Engineers. The RICS are here. RIBA are talking to us. We've got CIOB. Someone is over here from the CIOB. We are talking to the institutions in the UK that want to support this and want to get behind it. Every one of the professional bodies in South Africa is behind this program. Dr. Francisca Botma is getting the VAs behind it, the voluntary associations. We've got the institutional support. We've actually got access to several thousand mentors. They're already putting their hands up. We're connecting the lost diaspora of South Africa, all the old wrinkly buggers like me and Tom that have left, or I've left South Africa, but our brains, all of our intellectual horsepower, our contacts, our networks, our experiences, our stories are available through the platform to thousands, tens of thousands of graduates. It's all ready to go. It's missing one thing, which is funding. And so that's what what we need to do to get together. We need our companies, our individuals, our investors and sponsors and donors, etc. We need to get behind and sponsor 10 graduates or 100 graduates or 1,000 graduates. That's our next game. And so I'd urge you to do that. And what we really want to do is, like, from tomorrow or Monday, maybe let's push it a bit and make it Monday. But we want to get the first swarms to take off as soon as possible. The first 100 graduates. We want to get them to take off and get that success story starting. So if you know people, if you're in the investment space and social investment space, if you come from a big business or you know someone that comes from a big business, from RICS and your members, we're talking to the IC, etc. Let's get the conversation going. Let's get this first swarms off. And so thank you, all of you who've taken a lot of time and effort to come through over here. Thank you very much, everyone.